did ribs this week too.
We did ribs this week. She just about made me leave her. I get home from work and she's like, "Okay, I'm about to fire the barbecue and throw the ribs on." And I look at her like, "Throw the ribs on at 4:30 in the afternoon? How long is it going to take?" 20 minutes or less. And the look got stronger. The look was like, "Okay, I'm about to leave." She goes, "I mean, they've been in the oven on 250 all friggin' day."
Oh,
I'm like, "Okay,
okay,
all right.
right.
You should have led with that."
I thought it was going to be like the KC Masterpiece pre-cooked
Right. No,
ribs that's already been.
I knew they were fresh ribs and hadn't been cooked. I'm like, 20 minutes or less. Okay.
It works for hamburgers.
It works for hamburgers.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Out About Podcast. I am Patrick, and you all know my friends.
Buttermilk.
Eric.
Jerry.
And, of course, my consigliere, the one and only Mr. Chili. That was like in harmony.
Yeah, it was.
I like that.
That
like you
practice has been
planned
paying
it.
off.
It really has been. I thought we were going to talk about it.
Well, we should talk about it.
That's like 30 minutes of my life I'm not going to get back.
What,
all the
harmony?
all the harmony we've
Yeah.
been doing.
I mean, we're talking about doing a barbershop quartet, but so far it's just the two of us.
Yes.
So
Do they call those a barber
Shop duo.
duo?
It's not quite the same.
it isn't quite the same.
Do you need a bus? A whole
We
big
do need
bus?
a whole
We need a
big
bus. We need a
for
bus.
just the
Only,
barbershop
like-
quartet.
Specifically one that's at least 40 years old.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Preferably turn of the century.
Yeah.
Have you heard these new kids?
On the block?
No, but they're calling like the millennium the turn of the century. Like talking about like CDs. Oh, that's turn of the century media and stuff. I'm
That's
like,
funny.
oh no,
Yeah.
I can't handle this. I don't.
Make me feel old.
They're really old.
Wow.
I get a kick out of watching the TikToks where they hand them like a rotary phone or something like that, and they don't know what to do with
No
it.
clue. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cute, but the problem is they're giving him stuff like pagers and
Yeah.
asking him what's this for, and I'm like, now,
It's
hold
got
on,
no
wait a
function
second.
from the pager
They're,
itself.
or they're giving him a Nokia and they're saying, how do you text?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is
Yeah.
hitting way too close to home. I'm not okay with this. It does not sit well with my soul. What is it?
Was it Nokia the slide?
No, Nokia's
Oh.
regular with Snake.
Oh, you gotta
candy
do the
bar phone.
1, 2,
The
3, 4, 5,
T9,
6.
is that called
You
T9?
know
Yeah.
exactly
Yes.
how many?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, and the predicted text. How great that
Ooh,
was.
fabulous.
Oh, man.
It was better than some of the stuff Siri comes up with.
I was so fast with it. And I remember going to the iPhone and being so frustrated because iPhone slowed you down so much because you had a full keyboard and you couldn't just feel it wasn't tactile. You couldn't just know where it was. And of course, now if you handed me a Nokia, I'm sure it still works
sure.
because those things were impossible to kill.
They were
But
bulletproof.
well, not just bulletproof, but they could be reassembled.
They could be.
I can't tell you how many times back
Yeah.
in the day I used to work at Hobby Lobby, and I was a framer. I used to frame people.
Okay.
And we'd be like unloading the truck, and then you're pushing the pallet jack of stuff around or whatever, and I'd get a text, and I'd be kind of coy or not sly, or I guess would be the word. Look at my phone and then try to put it back in my pants, and if I'd miss or something, and it would just hit the ground, burst into 17 pieces. And then you just pick up the 17 pieces, put them all
Yeah.
back together, and boop, it works just fine. Like,
Did you
imagine
ever-
doing that with an iPhone now.
Right? Did you have it memorized where it was like, okay, the letter C, 1, 2, 3, 4? Like you knew how many clicks
Yeah.
it took to get to that letter once your finger landed on the key?
I did, to the point where I didn't even know that it was 4 to get to. It was 3, right? ABC.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was 3. I didn't even know that in my head. I couldn't even process it because I just did it so much. I just
Right.
knew. Like, I never learned typing, which is funny that they used to teach. I don't even know if they teach typing anymore. I never.
did typing in school.
I took one semester of typing, not even a semester of typing. Like, a part of one of my classes was a little bit of typing. And I was terrible at it. But now I can type great because it's become such a normal mainstay of our life that it's
Right.
funny that at one point this was a skill we need to teach people, and now it's like everybody kind of knows how to do
Right.
it. It's very rare to find someone who's still doing the one finger.
I live
It
in one-
happens. It happens.
Yep.
And there's no shame in it.
I
So-
leveled into the slide phone so that you could use it like a keyboard because I had taken the typing class and I could do like 70 words per minute. So it was like oh, this is easy. Granted, it was with your thumbs, but so much easier than 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. With the digits on the Nokia.
Oh,
kinda
but
thing.
I thought it was easier to text and drive back in the day. Not that you
Probably.
should. I was a young, stupid person. On the Nokia, I could just, whatever,
feel the
I could
keys.
feel it. I wasn't even
Yeah.
looking. I was just doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whereas now that's impossible.
Yeah, I get it.
But texting now is easier while you're driving because you can go, hey Siri, text, stop it. My iPhone. If
As
you
we
didn't
all
see, my
check our phone.
iPhone just went off.
All
But you
right.
can tell her to text someone for you and tell her what to say. You don't have
Sure.
to touch it. You don't have to look at it. Nothing.
Yeah.
So like that part's gotten a lot better.
Yeah. What were you going to
So,
say, Vince?
I still, I don't touch type.
Yeah.
I don't hunt and peck really though either, and I'm a couple of fingers when I'm typing, but I'm so familiar with the keyboard that if I hit a wrong key, I recognize it. Like the feel is wrong. I hit
Yes,
the wrong key. I can
I
go
get that.
back and fix it without having to look at the computer screen and go, yeah, I screwed that up. I can go back and fix it just because the feel is just not right.
You've got it down in your own manner, but a quick way.
Yeah, I know where the keys are,
Yeah.
so I'm not looking for keys. I'm not the fastest, obviously,
Yeah.
but I'm productive enough.
So you're not doing ASFD or
I'm
whatever
not
that
doing
is over
no.
there?
I'm not touch typing,
That's been a hot moment.
but I know where the keys are.
I
Nice.
actually saw something on YouTube the other day. It was a documentary on the keyboard, and it was pretty interesting. The QWERTY keyboard. Do you know why
QWERTY.
we have that?
QWERTY.
QWERTY.
Yeah.
Do you know why
No.
we have it?
It's a method of where the keys are. The keys used most often are closest within reach.
Yes.
That's what I thought. That is not the case.
Oh.
They designed it because old school typewriters with their arms.
Oh, that's right.
If they found that a regular ABCD keyboard, you had too many issues where you would have two of the arms pop in at the same time,
From
and they would
close
get
by.
because they're so close, and they would
Yeah.
actually tangle up.
Yep.
So they did the QWERTY, the QWERTY version, to separate all that. And so that was their solution. Was they just worked out? Okay, well, if these keys are in these positions, they're not going to cross each other because they don't have that many letter combinations. Because what you don't want is two bars side by side,
Right.
like S and T side by side, would constantly hit each other.
Right.
It's actually not the fastest form of typing. Because I always thought like, oh, it's the most economical. They figured out like not economical, but efficient rather, because they figured out okay, this is the most efficient for your brain to work. It's not. There's actually better keyboards out there now, but nobody's going to them because you've got 7 billion people who learned on a QWERTY, and it's good enough.
There's a lot of folks that are fans of the Dvorak keyboard, DVORAK,
Okay.
where that's what's in the top.
Yeah.
And it's a geek's keyboard basically. So after we went away from the arms, the hammers, and went to like a ball,
Yeah.
or even a computerized
Word
word
processor,
processor,
yeah.
then you don't have that. But it's more efficient, they say. But you have to teach everyone, or everyone has to learn again, relearn that muscle movement, muscle memory.
My mom had the big metal, huge, heavy, 400 pounds, it felt like, typewriter. And probably all the way up until I was maybe a sophomore, junior, that's what I used to do my essays and book reports and whatnot. You couldn't do it in the style that we do our keyboards now, or even electric typewriters, because you had to strike the key so hard
Yes.
so that it would lift the arm to strike that ink ribbon to make a letter. But it was true ribbon and it was whatever. But all my reports were done with that. You had to get your fancy white out, make sure it wasn't gloopy and all that. But boy, talk about sore fingers after a, 4-page essay, because
Yeah.
you literally had to push so hard. And then, I don't know, 7th, 8th grade, I ended up doing typing, which was all electronic key typewriters. And boy, that was so nice. You could even do autocorrect, and it did the little type over with the white out on it. And then now we're up to computers. So
So when I was in elementary school and we had to do a paper, computers were starting to become a thing. So they told us on some of our papers we could do them typed or we could write them out if we wanted to.
sure.
And I was always like, typed. I'm not going to do the handwriting. That's what we had growing up was a 1950s
Right.
typewriter,
It was cast iron.
cast iron.
Yes.
I was going to say, if you ever see like in the old movies where they take a typewriter and they sling it against someone's head and they kill the person, yep, 100% believable if they were strong enough.
I love the
Because if
typewriter.
they were strong enough to do that, I mean, that thing was going to hit you hard enough to
Oh,
kill
yeah.
you. It is they were so heavy. And I do remember typing, and I do remember getting them crossed. And if you didn't hit it hard enough, and then it was like really soft, and it was hard to read, and you had to kind of do that thing to bring it back.
Yep.
And then the little white thing you had to do, and then you had to hit the T again,
Right,
and
to
so it
flip
only
over.
white out just the T.
But you ever notice how it wouldn't be the same space
It
as
would
the T?
never be in the right spot.
So I was listening to a different podcast a couple of days ago, and they were talking about how somebody figured out something was a counterfeit. It was supposed to be from like 1983. It was an ID card for a
Okay.
company.
Yeah.
And the person who was investigating whether it was real or not, the typewritten information on the ID card was perfectly straight because they had just chosen a font on their computer word processor and typed it out.
Yeah.
There actually is a font that someone created that for every character on the keyboard, there are 9 different positions that character can show up. And as you use this font
Randomizes it.
and you type, it randomizes where the font is, so it's not all perfectly lined up. It looks like an old school typewriter.
That's very cool.
It is very cool.
That
Yeah.
is neat.
More geek stuff. Sorry.
You over there? Did you old timey typewriter
Gary,
it?
Oh, yeah.
Gary's still
Jerry
learning
had a
to write.
quill. I don't know if you've heard of Quill. He went down to the local store there
Yeah.
in the hills of
No, he didn't.
North Carolina, and
Ink bottles.
No, he
Ink
didn't.
bottles.
Jerry was poor. You forget that.
so Jerry went and got
he went down to
indigo.
the creek
He
and
got the-
pulled a feather off a duck.
yeah,
make his
true,
quill.
true. And then they went
That's
and
funny.
he grabbed a piece of
It's
charcoal
funny
from
'cause
the
it's true.
a piece of coal from the family and crushed it,
Right,
and then add a little
exactly.
water to get that right texture.
Yep.
That's funny. You? How about you? Old school typewriter?
Oh, she just accepts that as your answer.
Well, that was it.
Did you do quill?
No.
No, you did say yes on the
I
typewriter.
did do
heard you say that.
typewriter. I remember I was probably freshman in high school when I got my first like little word processor, and it was like an electric typewriter, but it was a word processor that held like maybe 2 to 3 sentences in memory, and whenever you got it all in memory, you could hit enter, and then it would type it all
Yeah.
out for you.
Yeah.
Ooh. Fancy.
We never had one of those. I saw those like in the catalogs and stuff, and I always thought they were cool. But by the time we ended up upgrading, we just went straight to Microsoft Word. So that was we completely skipped that step. Before Word, we had a different one.
Lotus Notes.
No, it was like Word, but it was something else.
Microsoft had a
It wasn't.
basic.
It wasn't Microsoft. It was someone else. Corel maybe made it.
Okay.
Or-
I know Corel Draw, but they did other stuff as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And Word
I
Perfect.
can't think- yeah,
Is
there
Word
you go,
Perfect one?
Perfect. That was it.
So we had Word Perfect
Yeah.
as a kid. I'm sure pirated, because I don't know how any of those companies made money back in the day,
Who could afford it?
right?
Yeah.
I mean, and before they learned how to make it to where you had to have codes and all that stuff, I got a game, download it on my computer. Buddy wanted it. Here you go.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, even after they come up with the 19-digit keys
Sure.
and everything else, I was downloading that off of BitTorrent like you wouldn't believe. And I'd sit there, I would try probably 50 codes, find
until
one
you
that
find one that
worked.
worked,
Then
yeah.
it would work for like 3 months, and then
Right.
it'd get kicked
Shut
off.
down.
and-
but
yeah.
I mean, I look back at it now and I'm less than happy that we did that. But it was a different age back then, different time
Sure.
back then. And now everybody's gotten smart. It's so easy. Like Microsoft Word that I've got right now, it's an annual subscription. It costs pennies and works great. And they've got a customer for life. Like
Yeah.
everything's gotten a lot slicker on that end. No one's using Napster anymore because Apple Music is, how much is Apple Music? $5 a month?
$9.99.
$9.99.
Well, let's not give credit Apple all the credit for getting rid of Napster. I mean, that goes back to
Well, yeah, there was a
Pandora
whole
and
FBI
other stuff
thing.
before. Well, yeah, but you have Pandora before that and Spotify before that, and
Bear Share LimeWire.
yeah,
The only program I remember being gifted when I was growing up is AutoCAD, and that wasn't until college, or just before
But-
college.
But what did you do as far as typewriters or anything like that?
I don't remember any heavy duty cast iron ones. I just remember plastic ones. Nothing I could hurt anybody with.
Yeah.
we still though keep Eric limited to what he can have around him. No sharp tools, nothing heavy. We're still concerned about our well-being. So
Safety scissors.
Even the electric ones, though, at school, those were heavy. Those
were.
were
They're
like
big
a
machines.
cast irony, very heavy metal.
Never had them.
Oh, they were very big. I remember you had to turn it on, and it was like, starting up a whole engine.
No, my school from a very, very young age, they got rid of all the typewriters and they had nothing but computers.
Yeah.
Now, these were MS-DOS based.
Sure.
It was weird because I learned on MS-DOS based, and something happened in the early 90s where all the computers got replaced with Apples. And I remember making
Okay.
that jump and being like, I hate this.
Sure.
Apple made a huge push in
education. Yeah, they really
in the
did.
early stages.
It was such a hard adjustment to make. As a kid, you would think it'd be easy, but it was like everything was in the wrong spot and it didn't work right. I hated it.
No one's asked me what I used as a kid. Is that because you all
Stone
knew
and
that-
chisel.
Okay, so that's where I was going with it. I figured
What
you
did
all
you
knew
use?
stone and chisel.
Okay, well, outside of stone
Yeah.
and chisel.
Occasionally, for Otto, he would go up to the Mount Sinai, I believe. A burning bush would lightning into the tablets.
Nice.
Exactly what he was supposed to do. It was very
It cost me
convenient.
my soul, but so my sister had a typewriter. She was 4 years older than me. She was actually really good at typing, and so she had a typewriter, and I was horrible at typing. Failed miserably in 8th grade, and my sister would type my reports, not voluntarily.
Oh,
My mom would make her because she knew if I sat there to type a report, I'd be all night long doing it, and my sister would knock it out in like half an hour. If it were a longer report, otherwise she'd just be done with it. So
right.
my sister did my reports. I wrote them,
Yes.
and she had the pleasure of reading my chicken scratch and typing it up. My
That-
handwriting is still horrible to this day.
My handwriting's abysmal. My signature makes a doctor look legible.
Just so she should have been like a stenographer or something.
She actually was a dispatcher, a 911 dispatcher for a while.
Oh.
And she had to take a typing test. She had to type so many words per minute, and she just killed it.
That's cool.
Oh, so writing your reports kind of paid off.
It did. pay
Typing,
off.
not
There you
writing.
go.
Typing your reports
You're
paid
welcome,
off.
sis.
Do you wonder if, with the big push to like using tablets as computers, instead of actually having a laptop, you now would just have a tablet? Do you think that's going to kill people learning the typing skill?
No, because people that use tablets as their main device are still using keyboards
Okay,
with them.
just Bluetooth.
Do they in
Bluetooth,
school?
yeah.
Because I know at school they give you little iPads. Schools,
A lot of them do now. Yeah.
starting in like first, second, whatever grade, the whole class gets an iPad to learn from.
Well, I think the touch typing goes away because you don't have that tactile like we talked about with the Nokia phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can feel where the buttons are. You don't have that tactile on the computers on the iPad screen, but who knows?
Interesting with the next generation. Maybe I need to
I
ask
know.
Anna how that's working out
Maybe you should.
for students.
I remember my first Nokia cell phone. So I had this case on it that had like a little, what do you call like it's almost like a little power. I don't know how to describe it. But it would be something that would connect to like a battery or something, and it almost looks like it's really flat.
Like a ribbon cable?
Ribbon cable. Thank
Okay.
you. Exactly. So it had a ribbon cable.
Oh
on it.
wow.
And it was on the case, and what it did was it connected to the battery, and then it was all hidden underneath the case and everything. So then whenever the phone rang, the whole entire thing would light up rainbow colors.
Oh my gosh. that's
Oh my
ridiculous.
goodness.
Do you
That was
remember-
my first?
Do you remember so many people back in the day used to have the like their Nokia or Sony Ericsson or whatever phone in there, and it was inside of the black leather case
Yeah.
with the like plastic clear
Plastic,
vinyl
yes.
front,
Yes.
and it had the little thing that looped
Oh,
over the
yeah.
front, and then you still could pull the antenna out and everything. Funny all those things. Of course, Dad had the Motorola, the gray Motorola flip phone with the battery that was about 1.5 inches thick. And then that went away, and he got the same phone,
Yeah. with
but the
net
battery had a 1/2 inch bubble instead of
Right.
being 2 inches. And I thought it was so cool.
My mom had the car phone in the bag,
Yep, I did too.
like the phone, like the house phone in the bag in the car.
Yeah.
Well, I know I've mentioned it on here before. The Freightliner Argosy, when they were still making that cab over truck back in the early 2000s, their literature, like their from the factory brochures, had on the doghouse a car phone. Like And it's not Bluetooth or anything like that.
Right.
That didn't exist back then. It wasn't a headset that was tied in. It was just a phone. You just pick it up and you. I think you actually. It had the phone, and I remember other phones having this. Do you remember the phone that the numbers were on the back of the handset,
Yes.
so you could like dial and
Right,
then
and then
pick
pick it
up
up,
and do? It was one of those
Yeah.
phones. But
That's the way my bag phone was in the car.
when I got to use my dad's phone for the first time ever, because I pressed like send, and then I started to put the number in, and it wouldn't let me, and I'm like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Because I was so used to, like, you pick up your phone at your house, you get a dial tone, you put the number in, and you listen for it to go. And this thing was the complete opposite. You had to put your number in first, and then hit send, and then that would connect your number. And it was just like, I remember being so confused by that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was no dial tone to listen for.
There was no
either.
dial tone or anything. Yeah. It's just, modern
I-
technology was that learning curve.
Good old
Yeah.
cell phones. And now you don't have to even have to do that. You just say, "Hey Siri, call."
Hey, Siri, call Eric. No, not you. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, never mind.
Sorry.
Oh, my phone's calling Eric Hyfield.
That's funny. I don't know about y'all, but this past weekend, I had so much fun.
Oh, I had a lot of fun too.
It was a busy weekend.
It was a
fun.
busy weekend. We did so much. I just want to focus mostly on Sunday.
Sunday.
Live at the Circleville.
Yes.
We had the opportunity to go hang out with some Hyfield family,
Four teams.
4 teams, and have a nice barbecue
Yeah.
outside of the at the truck stop.
Yeah, Loves.
I loves, yeah.
Yep. They
Uh,
did some tailgating
We've
or
done
lift gating.
lift gating, I think is what they
Lift
call it,
gating, yeah.
right?
Yep, lift gating.
It's hysterical. I love it. Some of those trucks, that's the only time the lift gate gets used.
Well, that's their test to make sure it's working monthly.
That's right. That's right. I thought it was great. Had the opportunity to go out there. Got invited. They were going to do it on Saturday. We had scheduling conflicts, but they bumped it to Sunday because one of the teams wasn't going to make it there from a load they just delivered. So they bumped it to Sunday. So we were able to go and really have a great time of fellowship and just hanging out with everybody. A couple teams I've met, a couple teams I hadn't met. So it was good to
Sure.
shake hands and all that good stuff and just have conversation and just shoot the breeze. Like,
Yeah.
if you ever hear us, because we've done a couple of these before and been to them since we've been doing the Outer Belt, and we've talked about them before. But if you ever go to those, we don't really talk business unless you want to. Then we're willing to have
Sure.
that conversation.
Sure.
But we're really just there to hang out and enjoy each other's company and stuff. And
Be human.
the human being.
Yep.
And eat and eat and eat.
There was a lot of good food. I love the way they again utilized parts of the truck to make it all happen
Yeah.
because it was on the cusp of a big rainstorm. So they just opted to use load bars to make a buffet table inside the box.
Yep.
And then lined up all the plates, which I thought was really cool, just in case. And plus, they didn't have tables big enough. I suppose you could have put it on another lift gate, but that's what they opted for. Very ingenious.
Yep. I think they were trying to avoid the shuffle of getting everything put up when that rain hit.
Right.
Because we really did hang out right until that rain hit, and it was a storm. It wasn't just rain. It was
a storm.
it was a storm.
Yep.
And but they had Jay was out there barbecuing, and so was
Chris.
Yassine. Thank you.
That's right.
Was out there making hamburgers, and somebody brought pasta salad. I think I didn't. Y'all may know more. I didn't get the names of everybody.
It's Christine.
Christina brought the pasta salad, the
Potato salad.
potato salad, and the
fruit.
watermelon
Yep.
fruit thing.
It was
And
really good.
I didn't have the fruit, but I did have the pasta salad and the potato salad, and they were both awesome.
Yep.
I love good homemade salads and things like that. They're just so much better than store bought. The barbecue was great. The pulled pork, which I loved, and they had you've heard of the 4-6's ranch, right?
Yes.
They had
Yes.
4-6's barbecue sauce, so I used that with my. I'd never seen it before, so I used it with my pulled pork. It was really tasty. Yeah, just I had a great time. It was nice hanging out. Brought the fold out chairs and just
Kicked it.
yeah,
Just hung out. Yeah.
It was
a good
very
time.
nice.
It's a good time.
Very nice.
I enjoyed it. I know Jerry and Don, y'all were going to come, but you had a obligation in Michigan that you couldn't get out of. But it that was, that would have been the one thing I think that we would have been just like one of Don's famous brownies or something.
Yeah,
Could have really
that would've
just.
been nice.
You were missed. They talked about Outer
did.
Belt
They
not
did.
being all together.
Yep, they talked about you.
Where's Dawn's goodies? All of those kind of things were talked about.
Yeah, we talked about you.
I'm
Is
sure
it
you
weird
did.
that they talked about Don's goodies? I mean, without you there, I don't know.
Everybody talks about Don's
Okay.
goodies.
It was
As long as you're okay with that.
very fun. So we left there, and again, the storm was rain. It was already upon us. It was raining, and we ended up driving over, and there was a park over there we've been talking about visiting. So obviously we couldn't go and hang out, but we wanted to go like put eyes on it and see if it's a nice place or not. Drove around it for a while. Got to see a huge lake. I mean, the lake was wild. It was like a hurricane out there, and
It
watching
was.
people seeking shelter and stuff.
Yeah.
It was freaking
Yeah.
hysterical.
It rained pretty hard.
Yeah, and then got back to the house and called it a day. And we did have a long weekend, and I was beat after that. I was like, I'm gonna sit here and do absolutely nothing, and that's what I did. Nothing.
We did something Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yes.
So Monday was a nice reprieve. We did go grocery shopping, but
We did.
outside of that, it was like nothing.
We didn't do that. We did a little bit of honeydew list around the house, but that was it. It was really just a relaxing day. Watched a couple movies.
Yep.
Cooked some food we already had, like just chill. And then on Tuesday, as y'all know, it was my birthday. Thank you for all the people that reached out and wished me happy birthday. I had a lot of fun with that. Pretty low-key birthday. It's not a special year, so that's fine. Don was supposed to make me a cookie cake, but that didn't happen for some reason. But I guess y'all talk to him about that, won't you? So for those of you that don't know what a cookie cake is, this picture right here is what it is. It's basically just a giant cookie, like a 14-inch pizza, large pizza. That's a cookie. They're usually soft and gooey. And then they put the icing around it and, happy birthday, happy retirement, happy divorce, whatever it may be.
Sure.
And it's one of my favorite desserts. I love a good cookie cake. Red velvet cake, cookie cake. Those are kind of my two back and forth that I love.
I ordered you one time as a surprise.
You did? I remember that. I remember
Uh,
that. I think the surprise was more for you, though.
It was.
It was.
So I order it online, did the whole thing, go and pick it up.
Oh,
I-
and I just want to throw out real quick. It was the Great American Cookie Company.
Yes.
She did not skimp on any money. She got the real, authentic, delicious thing.
So I go and pick it up. Huge box. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Not very heavy though. And I open it up and I look at it. And in my head, I'm like,
It's a cookie.
it's a cookie. This is a gigantic chocolate chip cookie. Where's the cake? Like, I was so disappointed. I thought for sure that they had messed up. I think I even may have texted or called Eric because he was in on the plan of surprising. And I'm like, this is it? A cookie? Like, you told me it was a cookie cake. It's just a cookie. He's like, that's it. It's just a cookie. I'm like, okay, if that's what he wants, which is what he wanted. But I just didn't understand this whole concept of you using the word cookie and cake in the same sentence.
But-
Now they put the giant cookie on top of a cake. Sure, you could have sold me on that.
But it tastes different than a regular cookie. It's not crunchy at all. It is
Sure.
denser. It is a lot thicker than a regular cookie. It does have a more rich flavor, I think, than your
Right.
average cookie does. And then the icing's like a nice kind of touch to it. At a lot of malls, used to be, I don't know if you still can or not, because I haven't been to a mall in quite some time. You used to be able to just buy a slice of cookie cake from Great American Cookie Company. I don't know if you still can or not, but they would just have like a cookie cake there, and they were just selling it by the slice. So I remember getting those, but also my jam at Great American Cookie Company was always the double-decker cookies with the cream in them. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
take like a M&M cookie, which was my favorite, and then they would do the icing, and then another M&M cookie, and you'd be walking around the mall just getting high on sugar.
My brother makes those. Calls them whoopie pies.
Yes,
He
I
does
think.
a oatmeal cookie with the cream in the middle.
Oh man, you know how much I like
Oh,
oatmeal cookies.
His are so
I
good.
do.
Are they got raisins in them?
I
No,
don't think his do.
Oh,
I don't think his do.
that'd have been a nice birthday surprise.
It would have been.
Oh
I need to go
man,
visit him.
it's not very far away.
he's not far. Apparently I need to go with you.
Apparently.
Chicago?
Peoria,
Peoria.
Yeah,
South.
that's different. I want to go to Chicago, but I'm not there.
Jerry wants deep dish. I thought we were doing outer belt on the road.
We need to do an outer belt on the road.
I thought we were doing deep dish
Or road-
pizza and Chicago dogs.
Let's do it, and then we can go to Detroit. Maybe
Yeah.
watch a game.
Maybe.
Go to the Henry Ford Hospital Museum. What is it?
Henry Ford Museum. We delivered there.
Really? I wanted to go for
What'd
a long
you
time.
deliver?
It looks awesome.
It
Auto
was a-
parts.
No, it was actually
For where?
He was
I'm
doing
like,
a
what
deal
are we
for O'Reilly.
delivering?
O'Reilly.
surprisingly it was actually artifacts from Benjamin Franklin. It was like a
Yeah.
lot of his first inventions that he ever made.
The Henry Ford Museum's not a car museum.
Hmm.
It's a time period museum.
Interesting.
There's a whole village there set up. It's supposed to be
Wow.
really, really nice. I want to go see it.
Fun fact: some family lineage dates back to Benjamin Franklin. For me,
Really?
really, really.
Are you part of the? I mean, do you like get?
No, no royalties.
And then we went there a second time as well and delivered actual artifacts from the Titanic.
Oh, fun!
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly what we had on there. I just know that the manifest said artifacts Titanic.
Do you
That's
see where the guy in Ohio is building a submarine to go to the Titanic?
I did see that.
Yeah, somewhere here in Ohio.
I did see that. But he's working with a reputable sub builder,
Okay,
and they're.
fair enough.
I think from what I've read, it's going to be built out of steel, not
Oh, really? Still
not
not fiberglass.
not fiberglass. No. Just because it's good enough for a bolt hole doesn't
Right,
make
doesn't
it good enough
a
for
submarine.
submarine.
Yeah, I get it.
Look, there's nothing wrong with submarines and doing that kind of thing. Like Cameron Mitchell, that's not him. That'd be the chef. We're talking about James Cameron.
Yes.
Yes,
Has made
James
like
Cameron Mitchell.
didn't he make like a ton of dives to the
did,
Titanic and all
yeah.
that?
He did
So
safely.
yes, I think if it's done properly, there's not a big issue with it. The problem with Ocean
Ocean Gate.
Gate, whatever it was he was doing things and people were saying, "You're making a mistake. What you're doing isn't safe." And he was like, "Nope, it's safe. We can prove it." The problem with proving something is it has to be repeatable,
Right.
and he can't repeat his claim anymore.
Yeah.
So,
It was Ocean Gate. Yes.
Ocean Gate. All right.
Yeah.
Even the name of his company sounds like a like
cult.
Watergate or Ocean Gate or you know what I mean. Like we
I
always
think
throw
that they
gate
would
after.
have tested it, wouldn't they have? Like,
It actually had done a few dives
It
before.
had- yeah.
Some deep dives too, and it just the way I think it was described to me is because I was thinking like fiberglass is pretty carbon fiber rather is extremely strong.
That's right. It was carbon fiber.
But carbon fiber has a lot of like pull strength.
Right.
So when you pull on it, it gets stronger. When you compress it, it doesn't have a lot of compressive strength.
I
And the
see.
problem is when you're down that far, you've got all this weight compressing on you. And a couple dives weakened it, and then this last dive did it in. But that's why I use titanium and all these other alloys and stuff they've got that are way more expensive, but they're proven, they're safe, they can handle that pressure. I mean, steel and all that does because that's what we build buildings out of. It's what we build bridges out of. That's used to that compression forces. I do wonder at what point do we need to leave the Titanic alone? That was the other thing I saw was like, okay, you're going to build a sub. You're hopefully doing it the right way with a company that's going to make it safe, and you're going to go and prove that it's safe. But at the end of the day, it's like, are we not exploiting a graveyard? We don't take subs down to the Arizona. We don't go visit other shipwrecks. I guess we do in some cases, though, don't we?
We do. We also go visit certain graveyards.
Yeah.
What's the one
New
in Hollywood
Orleans.
or
Oh, yeah.
they do tours of graveyards. So
Yep.
it's certainly something that we do. Whether it's right or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it just seems odd.
I don't know. It's just weird to me.
Are they doing it for historical purposes or scientific? Like, are you studying maybe why it broke
From-
apart? Or...
Seems like it's tourism.
Yeah, from what I saw, he was just doing it based
Oh.
on we can safely tour and do these things.
Right.
So,
Hmm.
I don't know. It's weird to me.
Sure.
You don't even see that much. You know what I mean? Like, the ships, the subs have gone down with their robotic cameras and stuff. They give you so much more detail than what you're
Sure.
actually able to see.
Sure.
So I don't know. It's weird. I don't completely understand. But I do understand the fascination with Titanic. I just don't understand the desire to go visit the site.
Sure, I get what you're saying.
So that's what does it for me. But I tell you what I do understand. On our private Facebook page, we have a private Facebook page for Hyfield Trucking for the drivers. Once they're
Signed a lease.
once they've signed a lease, they're able to join on here and talk to each other, and they share war stories. They share cooking tips. We pass out sometimes some information there. We do it also via email, but sometimes people see their Facebook before they see their email. So people will share weather information,
Bridge closures,
bridge
road
closures, yeah,
closures.
things like that. And one person, I think it was Jay actually, the same guy that did our cooking for us a few days ago, or a few weeks ago, he sent a post up about these electric truck trailer thingies. I don't know how to describe
That's
them.
a good way to describe it.
And said, I think this is what they were talking about in the Outer Belt the other day. I looked at that picture and I was like, I don't recall that. So I went to the ad and read through it, and I'm like, I don't think we've talked about this at all. But when I saw what it was, I'm like, this is an interesting twist, and I think we should talk about it. There's multiple levels of intrigue on this one for me. So this is about a company called Revoy EV, REVOY EV. Here's a picture of their device right here.
Okay.
And what it looks like and what I thought it was originally and what it actually is are two different things. It is a small trailer that goes on the back of a 18-wheeler or tractor, and then you hook up your actual trailer to that. On it is electric battery pack and a couple motors that actually drive the axle that's on that trailer. It's only a single axle, I think, and it drives that axle. So what I thought it was when I saw this picture is I thought this was an extended battery pack. So if you're driving a Tesla or electric Peterbilt or whatever down the road, eCascadia, this thing would extend your battery life, right? So now instead of being able to drive 500 miles, you can maybe drive 1,000 miles now, right? I thought this might be a creative way to help with the battery limitations. Because if you're running team, you don't have to stop. And so you could actually get in that full amount of time. But that is not the case. That is not what this is for. This is actually an adapter to take a regular diesel-powered tractor and make it more fuel efficient. So what they do is you hook up on this thing. It's got all the batteries in it. It's got the electric motors on that axle to help propel the truck forward. So your engine, which is burning diesel, doesn't have to work as hard. So it therefore sips diesel. So what they can do is they can take a truck that's going, 6 miles, 7 miles per gallon, and they can do 15 miles per gallon. Because the diesel engine is not having to work so hard, the electric pack is actually doing all the work,
Right.
or a lot of the work. And with when they go to accelerate, which is some of the more fuel-consuming portions of driving, the battery can give more power to help make that more efficient. So when I saw that, and I was like, okay, that's a cool concept, right? So I take my existing diesel truck, I put this thing on it, I get better fuel economy, and I still have my diesel motor. So if I'm not producing enough power or if I don't have enough electricity, I can still go further, right? Like I'm not limited strictly by the battery. Kind of turns it to a hybrid setup, so to speak.
Right.
Not a true
Yeah.
hybrid, but a little bit of one. The only thought I had was, it's a cool concept, but A, what's it weigh? Right? That's going to limit us because then it limits what you can haul. But also B, how expensive is the thing going to be?
Right.
So they've addressed it in the article. They were talking about the way they pack trucks these days, not including like food. So we're not talking food. We're talking mostly parcel stuff. They run at a cubic foot
before they hit
footage
the weight limit.
before they hit the weight limit. So weight's not really the biggest problem right now. Is they actually run out of cubic space. So they're filling the truck up front to back, and it could still be heavier, but there's nowhere else to put anything. So that's the market they're going after. Now, if you're hauling lettuce, you're paid by the pound, and you're trying to get your truck as light as possible, or fuel, this ain't for you. They're going after the retail customers, the people that are hauling, that kind of stuff is their goal. The second thing is the cost. It is actually a subscription service. So you pay by the mile of what you use. You don't have to actually buy the thing. So there are no upfront costs. You are only using what you've subscribed for. And if you go over, there's some overage fees that you can pay, so you're not like screwed. They will allow you to get better fuel economy. And they're saying the difference in fuel economy will cover the cost, will more than cover the cost of what the actual thing costs. So if it costs $1 a mile to roll down the road, but with this thing on your truck, it would only cost you 30 cents per mile. It's gonna cost less than that 70 cents per mile to rent it, so to speak.
Wow.
They're gonna have yards across the country, so they call them swap stations. So, and they've already got 2 of them up and running in Texas and Arkansas, and you can pull in, drop your dead one that's out of battery juice, and go over and pick a new one up and be on the way. I think they said it takes about 5 minutes to drop your trailer, the Revoy, pick up the new Revoy, and put the new trailer on. The Revoy is pretty smart. It's got some cool things. So, like, underneath it, you've got obviously the main live axle, but where it goes right behind your truck, there's actually 2 dolly wheels that come down. They will actually like self-support the whole thing on wheels, and I believe it'll even reverse itself off of your truck for you. So it's pretty intelligent. It does a lot of stuff. For what they want to do, the amount of capital is what makes me wonder if they're going to be able to pull it off or not. You'd have to have such a huge network, and you'd have to have so much money in these things, right?
Sure.
Like they don't say what these cost to make, but they've got to be incredibly expensive.
They have to be expensive.
And
right now, they're only running between Texas and Arkansas. That's where the swap stations
How
are.
many do they have? Does it say?
No.
It doesn't say how many they have. It just says they have the 2 swap stations. Yep. But again, I think it's a neat concept. It's just how do you scale it?
Sure.
Why are fleets not going out and buying 1,000 electric trucks? Because that capital is so huge.
Right.
And if these are just a little bit cheaper than that, it's not really helping. So, I don't know. I think it's a cool service. I expect we'll see some more of these in limited markets working for certain customers. I was really thinking like a Hobby Lobby who owns their own private fleet of trucks, Walmart who owns their own private fleet of trucks. I think they would see the biggest benefit out of these kind of devices. And the fact that it's based out of Arkansas makes me think, I wonder if it is Walmart. Running stuff down back and forth from Texas.
Could be.
Is it considered pulling doubles?
It doesn't say, but I'm assuming it has to. It doesn't say, and apparently there's because it's pushing a tractor that's already being pushed and it's on a pivot. It says it's smart enough to figure that out as well, so that it's not, causing it to jackknife itself or something
in the wrong place.
Yeah. So it's apparently smart enough to know how to do that, but it's a weird concept. The thing weighs about 22,000 pounds, so it is very heavy.
Sure. And I could see this being the swap stations being installed in depot in terminals like a Walmart terminal or UPS terminal or anywhere that's running LTL or private fleet spoken wheel kind of thing, where in the terminals you have a swap station, or they just have a charging facility in the terminal where they can charge it overnight, or during the non-use period, and the next driver picks it up and keeps going back the other way.
Yes.
To the next terminal. Yeah. Or the other terminal. So.
Well, they did say that it's. I know I said 500 miles earlier. It's 250 miles is the range. So you figure that's what 4 or 5 hours of driving. So I could see you putting that if you had 2 major hubs, it's a common freight lane. then you could put a swap in the dead center of that, and then a driver could work his full 10-hour shift.
Right.
They do the swaps.
Yep.
Still be able to pull in, swap over, and then go and finish up their shift there. So, yeah, it's very interesting. It is an e-axle, which means the the motors are built into the axle. There's not like a drive shaft or anything like
Right.
that. I'm kind of curious to see if it actually works. You know, there's the product itself is unique, and then there's the whole can you make money at it? And then I also wonder, as fast as electric truck evolution is occurring in design, will this even be relevant in 10 years?
Right.
Well, it may not be, but if they can get them out there on the road now and build their network now and get a foothold in the market, because no one has a foothold in the market right now in electric tractors.
Nobody.
Tesla's struggling. They wanted to have 50,000 tractors on the road by 2025.
Yeah.
They've built 200.
And you see with Tesla, especially, big news out of Tesla a couple weeks ago was that Pepsi bought 50. Not 50,000,
No,
not 1,000,
50.
not 500, not 150.
Which, when those 50 are delivered, brings their total fleet to 83. Right.
And those-
and other Tesla customers that have placed orders for Tesla tractors based on Tesla's projection having 50,000 available by this year, or I'm sorry, this year.
Yeah.
They're still waiting.
Yeah.
Those tractors haven't been built. They haven't been delivered. Pricing has changed. There's a lot of changes there. I mean, Tesla has a nice product, but if they can't deliver them fast enough.
There's also a cost of money concern, right? Like everybody knows the Fed has raised the interest rates.
Sure.
So people that placed orders 2 years ago, because on the Tesla tractor thing, we're talking people who placed orders 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yep.
Did it expecting, all right, I'm going to pay 4%
Right.
on that loan, and that's how we're going to factor it, and we can make a business model for it. Well, you turn around and say, okay, well, now you're going to pay 10, 12%.
Yeah.
That's night and day different. That cost of money, even though it doesn't seem like much, could be thousands of dollars a month more.
Oh, sure.
Per unit.
And if you're budgeted for X number of dollars, and your plan was to buy, let's call it 100 tractors, with X number of dollars, it might be that cost of money is so much now that you're buying 90 tractors with that same money. And that's just roughly throwing it out there. I mean, I don't know the math on it, but it's a challenge.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I think the people that are moving forward, the Pepsis and the Walmarts and such that are placing orders for these things and trying to get them right now, they're trying to by good faith with government institutions that they are trying to get their emissions down.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the business model.
No.
I don't think they cash flow yet because at the end of the day, a $500,000 tractor doesn't save enough in diesel to justify its increased price.
Right.
Especially now that diesel's coming down.
Yeah.
When things like that happen, like diesel's starting to come down again, tractors, the market has gone cold. Not cold, but it's definitely not as hot as it was. So the price of tractors are coming down themselves. So when you factor that stuff and you add the limitations of electric, it starts to look less interesting.
It does.
When diesel's $6 a gallon, it looks real interesting.
It looks great.
Yeah,
let's do it.
A good example of that would be like the propane truck market, the natural gas LNG truck market. Like when fuel's incredibly high, people buy them, and you see them all over the place.
Yep.
And then when the fuel goes back down, they kind of disappear, unless it's a big fleet that has a majority of those. So, anyways, it's just an interesting thing. I'm very curious to see if they can bring this to markets on a large scale successfully, or if this does end up being just a couple regional places.
It's an interesting article, certainly.
So, thank you, Jay, for bringing it to our attention, because it's not something I really knew about. And I would love to know what it is that we were talking about, where you saw this and thought it was the same thing, because that is an interesting kind of change.
Well, I know we talked about the one company running up Houston to Dallas.
Yes, with the driverless.
Yeah, the driverless trucks.
Yeah.
I saw an article kind of piggyback on your Musk talking, where it said that Tesla can penalize you for selling your truck in the first year.
Yes. That's a Cybertruck, though, right?
It is. It was a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
But like $50,000 or something if you sell it in the first year.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoof. You better really love the Cybertruck.
There's been a lot of interesting financial things people have been doing lately. That's one of them. If you resell it, you get in trouble. But also with leases, there's a lot of leases that are going out now that, traditionally at the end of your lease, you have the option to buy it back. And if you don't want to buy it back, you can then sell the car or the vehicle and then pay the lease off or whatever.
Right.
There's a lot of leases that are going out now where they're saying you don't have the right to buy the car back. Like, it's a 3-year lease period. At 3 years and 1 day, we're taking the car. Period. And there's other ones that are saying if you want to buy the car, you can, but you can't sell it. Like, there's no option. If I have a car that I'm leasing and Melissa, you're interested in buying it when I get out of it, that's not an option. And that has to do with the cost of cars inflating as fast as they are. So they already know, based on their projections, that it's a better deal for them to buy your car and resell it than it is to let you take it, whereas that's traditionally not been the case. So it's very interesting. The money side kind of goes back to the truck we were just talking about. Like, interest rates have changed, the price of goods have changed,
Sure.
inflation has changed, and all that really determines who's buying these trucks and when they're buying them. This equipment is not like buying, a Chevy pickup and getting a credit app and getting 0% interest for 5 years. It is way more complicated than that. And I have my Jeep because I wanted it and like it. You can't buy a truck based on I want it and I like it. You have to have a business model there to support it, and all that factors into it. It's not
Right.
just what's the cost of the equipment. It's also the cost of the funds. And these people, these big companies, they're not paying cash for it. I mean, some are, but most aren't. Most, it goes on the books. It's a depreciating asset. We're either going to lease it. A lot of people lease them. So a lot of the people that are buying Tesla trucks, not cyber trucks, but the big commercial ones,
Right.
they're not really buying them. They're leasing them. Or if they are buying them, they're using money like loans and stuff like that, because it makes more sense on a depreciating asset. Melissa, you also had an interesting article. It kind of piggybacked off the one from last
I
week.
know. It was a feel-good one.
We do like feel-good articles.
Guinness World Record. The oldest truck driver holds it at 90 years of age. So oldest truck driver holds Guinness World Record at 90 years.
Here's a picture of him.
He says he has no plans to retire from his 60 years of OTR, which is a long time.
Yep.
His name's Doyle Archer. He was officially recognized as the Guinness World Record holder for oldest male truck driver this year, and has traveled 5.5 million miles in his 60 years driving truck. He secured the record at 90 years, 55 days old back in February. So 90 years and 55 days. He says he doesn't plan to retire anytime soon. His health holds good. He's going to keep driving. He says, I do not have the word retire in my vocabulary. I enjoy my job very much. I couldn't imagine being 90 years old. How about 90 years old and passing a DOT physical? Can we talk about that? That's some pretty good health he's got.
He clearly keeps himself in good physical condition. I mean, you see the picture. He's doesn't look terrible at all.
Yep. He's out of Kansas, Phillipsburg, Kansas, for his company.
Got that good Midwestern blood.
He says, anything you can haul in a truck, I've hauled it. My favorite views I've been able to witness are the mountain views, scenic prairies, and the timbered forests of the great country. I just thought it was a really great story. 90 years, and he got a national, recognition or Guinness World Record for it.
Think back in the 1960s when he started driving. The trucks have changed
Sure.
so much since then.
Yeah.
He was driving back when they didn't necessarily have seatbelts. Little things,
Yeah.
Air conditioning was optional for only the nicest highfalutin.
Right.
We've seen them where, like in those 1970s and 80s trucks where they're retrofitting air conditioning into them, like in the 60s. Forget about it, unless you were in like a really nice Kenworth or something. But even then, maybe not. To go from all that to what he's in now, like,
I bet you he still has a CB handle. I bet you there's locals in his area that can utilize that CB and call him on his handle and he'll answer. I bet you he's just
Yeah.
Part of that era.
Probably, same truck stops.
Yep.
Knows Betty at the pancake factory or whatever. You know what I mean? That's cool. That's a long time to be trucking. I guess you really got to like it, right? I mean, I love trucking, and I saw some amazing things back when I was driving. And it is one of those things where if I had to choose, like if life crumbled or whatever, right? I might would go back and I'd probably go back and drive again. Like I enjoyed my time on the road. I
Sure.
really would go back and do it again. But 60 years in one career. I
Yeah.
mean, most people 60 years is their planning for retirement. This guy's 90. He's like, no, I'm
Not
good.
gonna do
I'm
it.
just gonna keep driving.
Yeah.
I wonder if the variety of freight kind of kept things spicy for him too. Just doing. He says that you can haul it in a truck. He's hauled it.
Yeah.
So I wonder
Oh,
if
and he's
that's going
gone
to
all over too. He's not just like a local or regional route. He talks about Vegas and
In the Space Center, he talked
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
and a few other places.
so he's going everywhere. Maybe that does keep it spicy, as you put it.
It is cool. I mean, one of the things that's great about America is every business pretty much has to have something delivered by truck at some point. So we really do go everywhere and see everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll tell you why he's on the road so long in life.
Uh
He's been married for 70 years.
oh.
He's got 9 children, 25 grandchildren, 26 great grandchildren.
That's why he stays.
That's why he stays on the road.
And he has an interest in antique cars,
Oh, sure.
John
or as
Wayne
he knows them,
movies.
cars.
Yeah.
And John Wayne,
Yeah.
John Wayne movies. Who doesn't like a good John Wayne movie, though? Let's just be honest.
I appreciate that. 70 years been married.
That means-
he's got 9 kids.
That means they were 10 years in their relationship before he started driving.
Yeah. And now you know why he started driving.
He actually, it does say that he worked for a lumber company, and that's what he wanted to do, but his asthma got to him, and so he wasn't able to
Mhm.
Yeah.
to work there anymore. So
Yeah.
interesting. I do like that the cactus on the side of his truck almost looks like it's a hand flipping us off, but you know,
it
it
kind of does.
does.
It kind of does.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny.
That's awesome, though. 60 years behind the wheel, 5.5 million miles. That's pretty awesome.
I hope that I'm kicking as good as he is at 60.
Right? 90.
90, sorry.
I hope
At 60.
he is at 60.
Sorry.
Shoot.
At 90. Yeah.
What a great time. So speaking of all the healthy chat and looking great at 90 and all
Yeah.
that stuff, I guess it's time for Patrick's weekly weigh-in.
Yeah.
And first and foremost, as you all know, we are sponsored not by Octavia.
Right.
And today's fueling is going to be the classic sour cream and chive mashed potatoes. So what these are mashed potatoes with sour cream and chive.
That title that you read wasn't very descriptive. so
It's
I'm
not
glad-
very
I'm
descriptive.
glad you described
Sometimes
it for
it's-
us. And tell us what
Sometimes
it
it's
is.
confusing.
Yes, sometimes it is.
It's it's dried potatoes. It does have milk and chives and eggs in it. It actually tastes pretty good. The texture's a little off for me. I do like it. And I still order it because it is tasty. It's less of a potato and more cream of potato.
Waffle maker or the pancake maker.
Yes, make yourself a potato pancake.
Oh, that's a good idea.
A little less water.
Yeah.
Yep. So it'll make a potato pancake, so it'll be crunchy and a little creamy. The waffle maker, though, makes the whole thing
So many crunches.
like almost like a French fry
Yeah,
Oh
or
wow.
a hash
like
brown.
a waffle fry.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. I'll try it.
Yep.
I'll try it. But this
And it doesn't take long.
and I've always been. I mean, again, I've always been lazy, so it's always just in the thing. Add the water in the bowl. Add the water,
Which is
microwave it, eat
perfectly
it.
Fine.
And it is good. The texture is just a little off on this one, but I like these ideas. I'm gonna have to do the waffle maker thing, kind of a French fry thing.
Maybe I'll have to show you how to whip it up.
Whip it real good.
Make one. I'll come over and tutorial you.
So that is the feeling of the day. Again, these are all nutritionally similar. So if you like this one, you can have 5 of these in one day, and it's the exact same as eating one of the other ones. The side, I call this a side one because potatoes aren't really a main course meal. It's always side. These would always be afternoon or nighttime
Sure.
something to eat, because it is kind of a weird, like you might eat just a pancake, but are you going to eat just the potatoes? It's a little odd. So that's what I always did, was just kind of use these as in the afternoon, or if I'm having a day at the office, then it'll be like a pasta, not a pasta, but something for lunch, whatever of these I'm in the mood for, and then 2.5 hours later have one of these, and it's almost like I'm just having a long lunch.
Right. That makes
and they
sense.
kind of work off each other. So
I've seen too that you could do it soup style. So you just add, obviously,
oh, that makes sense. Potato soup.
quite a bit more water, and
Yeah,
it could be like a potato soup.
that'd be kind of cool. You could even cheat and put a little cheese on it too. I mean,
Yeah.
You could even
If
do
you-
that
Yeah.
with the way it is. I mean, because the program does allow you so many fats.
yes. So you can add. They say don't cheat everything, because if you cheat everything, then
It
what
all
are you
adds
really
up.
doing?
Right.
Right.
But every now and then, a little something like on the buttermilk mac and cheese, I add a little cheddar cheese on top. I think it makes a world of difference in how it tastes. And again, I'm adding tablespoon of cheese.
Right.
You know, like not a ton. And it just gets it to that level I need it.
Right.
Right.
So,
Right.
but I did step on the scale this morning.
Whoop whoop. And
I did see that number.
well, it's always going to give you a number.
Sometimes
Unless
it
the
gives me an
battery's
E.
dead.
Sometimes it
Yeah.
gives you an
Gives you
E.
the 0, 0. You stepped on too quick.
Air. Danger, Will Robinson. Just to recap, the last 2 weeks, it's
Yes.
been 270.462, something like that. This week,
Yes.
I'm proud to say that we are finally in the 260s.
Nice.
266.8.
266.8.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm
Wow.
impressed.
Yes.
Nice work.
Yes.
Was it the haircut that helped?
It was. I
I'm
lost.
just
I did lose.
kidding.
I lost a pound of hair. It probably had to do something,
I'm
right?
kidding. Congratulations. I don't want to discredit your hard work.
Well, I was worried about it too, because all you people that made me go down to Circleville, and again, I already told you I had the potato salad, the pasta salad, because it looked so fresh and delicious, and it was yummy, yummy, yummy. And I put the barbecue sauce, which is sugar. All over my pulled pork and everything. I just knew I was gonna just blow up, but I tried to just like focus on that being the main meal of the day, as opposed to eating a bunch of fillings that day. I actually just scaled that back and just had that, and I had water and even I did have Coke Zero out there with everybody because I wanted a little caffeine. That I just made sure not to put anything else in me, that because I knew, I'm like, man, when you're eating like this, it's so easy. It just takes a little bit of push,
Sure.
and then you've knocked yourself out. And so yeah, I feel pretty happy about it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Congrats.
Thank you.
You should probably go
Congratulations.
celebrate tonight with a nice piece of cake.
I was thinking cheesecake. I got a Junior's cheesecake in the freezer, and I just need to thaw it. And I don't have a Junior's cheesecake in the freezer. It's in the fridge. I don't have one in the fridge either. It's on the counter. So
That's funny.
no, I love Junior's cheesecake. I'm a huge proponent. This diet sucks for that. But you know what? I'll have Junior's cheesecake when I hit the goal weight.
There you go.
So
Bye-bye.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep. So anyways, that about wraps it up. Did we forget anything? Anybody got any announcements? Any last thoughts? I have something to share with you all.
Oh.
One more episode. We have one more episode before our summer break.
Oh.
So be sure to join us next week. Be our last episode. Then we're going to take about a 6 or 8 week pause, and then we'll be right back up. But yeah, we are one more episode left. Please, if you like what you're hearing, tell your friends, share our content, hit that like and subscribe button. If you haven't, give us a thumbs up, leave us comments. Even if you just say, "Good job, Fatty." I know it's from the heart.
This is a good time too to go back and just rewatch or re-listen to the previous episodes. Just
Absolutely.
kinda,
Yeah.
if you need something to keep you going while you wait for us.
Maybe you joined us in season 2.
Yeah.
There's a whole season
Whole season
1 that's
one.
got lots of content out there.
Right.
You get to see how we've changed. If you're watching it, you see how we changed this configuration up a lot more. You get to see what life's like pre Buttermilk and pre Eric.
Yeah.
And
And you can vote and tell us whether you want them gone or not.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
What, the voting? Some people
Yeah.
are just trying to get out of work.
Exactly.
So no, it's
Topics. Think about all those topics you have now. You have lots of great ideas. Start sending them over.
yes.
Email.
Yes.
The Outerbelt Podcast at gmail.com.
Or if you're listening to us on a podcast app, you can hit the comments. Not comments. Contact us. What's it called?
Text us.
Text
That's
us.
right. Text us. Yeah.
And you can. It'll text Jared Bear here. You can go to our Facebook or Instagram at the Outerbelt Podcast, and you can
call 833 Hyfield.
You can call 833 Hyfield. You'll talk to Buttermilk or Delina or Jerry, or
Kayla.
Thank you. You can send us a carrier pigeon. Jerry's address is
Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, just address it to Jerry at Columbus, Ohio. The pigeon will find him.
yeah. It's got to be
They're
one
really
of,
smart.
It's
They
got to
really
be
are.
one of those like Hogwarts pigeons, right? Like our owls. I guess those are owls. Just to know, just generically, this is the exact Jerry I want it to go to.
Yeah.
It comes by every day around noon.
Right. Or tap it out in Morse code. I'll get it because I'm the old guy here. So.
Yes. Yeah. I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about you. I watched a movie just last night on Apple Plus called Greyhound,
Okay.
and it's about the convoy. It's a great movie. You haven't seen it, go watch it. It's got Tom Hanks in it. Who doesn't like Tom Hanks? And he's the lead ship in a 37-ship convoy going from America to Europe
Yeah.
during World War II. And there's a section in the middle of the ocean where the planes, the anti-submarine planes, can't reach
Yeah.
because it's just too far away. And so he's there to defend him and 3 other ships, I think, Eric. Was it 3 other ships? 2 or 3?
Yes.
And it just it shows them how like they attack the U-boats. When the U-boats were successful, what'd that look like? What'd the rescue look like? How many people passed away in it? How, all this stuff. Because it's only a few days that they're actually in that zone. And outside of that, then the airplanes come in, they just hit the
Right.
U-boats. So the U-boats don't even go in the area where the airplanes are. And so it was a really interesting movie, but in the middle of the movie, when they're trying to communicate over long distances, they can't really do that via radio. They can do short distances. If you come up right next to them, you could radio. But 37 ships, so you're talking long distance from
Right.
front to back.
Sure.
They would use lights.
Mhm.
And they would tap out Morse code in lights, and then the other person would respond in lights. It was also convenient if you had a U-boat because U-boat can hear your radio. They cannot see your lights. And so it just made me think this is what Vince did
Yeah.
back when he was younger.
It is.
And
It is.
it was a great movie. I encourage you to watch it. It's 1 hour and 36 minutes. You're in, you're out. It's not one of those 3-hour war epics.
Right. I broke
Um,
into the shipping industry as a deckhand, swabbing decks and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
but that's as I worked my way up, you had to learn Morse code if you're going to work on the bridge.
That makes sense.
Period.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to learn that. I had to learn the signal flags. Before that, it was smoke signals, so I had to know that first.
Oh, yeah,
Just-
yeah, yeah.
Just a lot of knowledge in this big brain of mine.
Well, they did the flares. I'm sure you remember the flares for when they had the
Flares-
emergencies.
Flares were after me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
flares
okay.
didn't come along till after I was
Gotcha.
already out of the industry.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so
You were back in that time with Paul Revere.
not quite. I was
Okay.
just after Paul Revere.
Gotcha.
Just after him. I wish I'd have met him.
But they still called him Paulie, right? Back in the day.
Paulie.
Yeah. I remember hearing about good old Paulie.
Yeah.
Um,
The red coats are coming. The red coat. Yeah.
see, I never had that form of shipping. I built ships.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a different perspective.
It is.
I built fire ships.
Okay.
They're like fire trucks, but they
But
float
on the water.
on the
yeah.
float. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was building fire trucks, we had fire ships. We had to learn how to install the Morse code equipment.
Okay.
And so that was my experience. But by the time I came along, they weren't doing light signals anymore. It was just a beep 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 beep. And so we had to install a little tapper.
Yep.
And you had to be
Gotta have a
careful
tapper.
because if you like leaned your hand on it, it would just be beep. Oh, it's so annoying.
And somebody's like, "Who's dead? Who died?
Yeah,
Who
exactly.
died?
Exactly.
Flatline."
Yeah. So that was good times back building the fire ships.
Yeah.
Those things could throw some water.
Speaking of fire trucks,
Ships.
well, you mentioned
Oh,
like a
trucks.
fire truck,
Yeah.
but,
Back when I worked for Ferrer Fire
I
Apparatus.
saw the coolest thing on Memorial Day. Locally here in Columbus, there's a company that builds fire trucks.
Yes.
Sutphin, I think it is.
Yes.
And you see them coming along the highway, and usually they have chassis in various forms.
Yes.
They got a lake out there they use when they test
That's cool to see.
the fire apparatus. It's really cool to see. They had a single ladder truck out there on Monday, and the ladder was up, and hanging from the ladder was an American flag on top,
Mm-hmm.
and then they had all of the flags of the armed forces.
Oh,
down
that's very
below.
cool.
And it was tied off at the bottom, so it just hung and blew in the wind. It was really, really cool to see.
It
That's
was
awesome.
neat.
Really cool to see. Yeah.
That's awesome. I do know back Memorial Day and Veterans Day, when I was traveling the country, and the 4th of July, I remember seeing several cities we'd go to. They'd have the two ladder trucks and hang the American flag over the interstate.
Yeah. Really cool.
And that was always a
Really
cool thing
cool.
to see.
Yep.
You know, it's one thing we do at our house is we fly an American flag out front, and we keep one out there all the time. And it's just, I don't know, that's one of those little things that I didn't do as a kid, but it feels incredibly important to me now to do. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why. I don't have a good logical reason.
Yeah.
It's just, proud of the country and support it in every way I can.
There you go.
There you go.
In the meantime, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Stay safe and make good decisions.
And don't leave money on the table. Don't do it.
And keep those wheels a turning.